Imagine waking up tomorrow, and gravity has suddenly become half as strong. You step out of bed and almost hit the ceiling. Jumping over your fence becomes effortless. A basketball player could leap over a two-story house. Airplanes would barely need to work to stay in the sky. Sounds amazing, but within days, the entire planet would begin changing in ways nobody expected. Mountains, oceans, weather, even the human body would slowly become something completely different. So, what would actually happen if Earth's gravity was cut in half? Let's find out. Gravity is so familiar that we barely notice it. Every second of every day, Earth's gravity pulls everything toward its center. It keeps your feet on the ground. It keeps the oceans from floating into space. It keeps the atmosphere wrapped around the planet like an invisible blanket. Without gravity, Earth wouldn't just be different. It wouldn't exist the way we know it. But today, we're not removing gravity completely. We're making it just half as strong. At first, that doesn't sound like a huge difference. It is. In fact, it would change nearly everything. The very first thing you'd notice is your own body. If gravity were only half as strong, you would instantly weigh half as much. A person who weighs 80 kilograms wouldn't lose mass, but they would only feel about 40 kilograms of weight. That means every movement becomes easier. Running takes less effort. Climbing stairs feels effortless. You could jump nearly twice as high. World records in sports would be shattered overnight. Imagine watching Olympic athletes clearing rooftops instead of hurdles. Basketball players could dunk from unbelievable distances. Even ordinary people could perform jumps that seem impossible today. For a while, life might actually feel incredible. But that feeling wouldn't last forever. Our skeleton exists because gravity constantly pushes down on it. Bones become stronger by carrying weight. Muscles grow because they constantly fight gravity. Astronauts living aboard the International Space Station lose muscle and bone mass surprisingly quickly, even though they exercise for hours every day. Their bodies still weaken. Now imagine living your entire life under half of Earth's gravity. Children growing up would develop lighter bones. Their muscles wouldn't need to work as hard. Over generations, humans might become taller, thinner, and much more fragile if they ever returned to today's Earth. Our bodies would slowly evolve for this lighter world. But humans wouldn't be the only ones changing. Every living thing would. Gravity limits how large animals can grow. The larger an animal becomes, the harder it is to support its own weight. That's one reason elephants have thick legs while insects don't. But cut gravity in half, and those limits begin disappearing. Animals could grow much larger without collapsing under their own bodies. Imagine deer the size of giraffes, birds with wingspans larger than small airplanes, trees stretching hundreds of meters into the sky. Even insects might evolve into much larger creatures because supporting their bodies becomes easier. Nature would begin experimenting with entirely new designs. The planet would slowly look unfamiliar. But something even bigger would be changing. The planet itself. Gravity constantly pulls mountains downward. The taller they become, the more their own weight crushes the rock beneath them. This puts a natural limit on mountain height. With weaker gravity, mountains could grow much taller before collapsing. Volcanoes could become enormous. Cliffs would be steeper. Even skyscrapers could be built far higher than engineers allow today. The entire landscape would slowly become more dramatic. But while the land changes, the sky begins changing too. Earth's gravity doesn't just hold people down, it also holds air. Every breath you take exists because gravity keeps our atmosphere from drifting away into space. With only half the gravity, Earth would struggle to hold on to its lightest gases. Hydrogen and helium would escape much more easily. Over millions of years, the atmosphere would become thinner. A thinner atmosphere means less oxygen. More harmful radiation reaches the surface. Temperatures become more extreme. And breathing becomes more difficult. But there's another problem. Water. Water is constantly trying to escape Earth. Tiny molecules at the top of the atmosphere occasionally reach escape velocity. Today, gravity pulls almost all of them back. With weaker gravity, more and more water escapes into space. Not tomorrow, not next year, but over millions of years. Earth's oceans would slowly shrink, shorelines would retreat, climate patterns would completely change. Some regions might become permanent deserts, others would experience strange new weather unlike anything humans have ever seen. And then, space itself begins affecting Earth even more. Earth's atmosphere protects us from countless meteors every single day. Most burn up long before reaching the ground. But with a thinner atmosphere, many more survive. Meteor impacts become more common. The atmosphere also blocks harmful radiation from the sun. As it becomes thinner, life at the surface becomes increasingly exposed. Skin cancer rates would rise. Electronics would need stronger protection. Even simple outdoor life becomes more dangerous, ironically. Living underground could become far more common. But one question still remains. Could humans even survive this new Earth? The answer is probably. Humans are incredibly adaptable. Cities would be redesigned. Buildings could reach incredible heights. Transportation would require less energy. Launching rockets into space would become dramatically easier. Space travel might become almost routine. Future civilizations could build enormous structures impossible under today's gravity. But every advantage comes with a cost. Over thousands of generations, humans themselves would evolve. If one of those future people visited our current Earth, they might barely be able to stand. To them, our gravity would feel crushing. It's strange to think that something completely invisible controls nearly every part of our lives. The strength of our bones, the height of mountains, the shape of trees, the flight of birds, even the air inside your lungs. Gravity never asks for attention. It simply works. Every second, keeping our world exactly the way it is, and maybe that's the most incredible part. Because if gravity were only half as strong, Earth wouldn't just feel different, it would become an entirely different planet. So the next time you jump, remember, you're not just falling back to Earth. You're experiencing one of the invisible forces that made life itself possible.